Hey folks, I think people can listen to me outside as well. I think it will be a good discussion today. We have some three awesome people here. So I think let's just anyway start and we can have people joining in. So hey everyone, I'm Jatin. I am right now working at Zeev, leading the developer relations and the partnerships that we do for UK. It's really great to have this amazing people with me. Hey Mark, hey Zaki, if you can awesome. And then we have Saksham here as well. He's the guy who lead all the developer guilds and impact at Polygon. Hey Saksham, it's really good to have you.
Yeah, same here.
Awesome. So I think we will be talking about a lot of things today, from the basics of blockchain, about how it actually works, why the next best thing is going to be blockchain, as well as what is the main scope of the future of blockchain, right? That can be adaptations or that can be implementation. It can go anywhere. So I think even if you talk about some of the basic of things, right? And there are some misconceptions in every technology and there are some good explanation about its applications. So I think if I go to you, Mark, I can just start by asking you, how you can explain blockchain in the most simpler way possible. Its current misconceptions that people feel and what are the applications?
Yeah, so I'll start with the most terrific example that blockchain will ever have, and everybody can relate to it. Like, I was a physician in India, and now I'm in the US. I just completed a master's in public health, and I completely took a 360-degree overturn, and I joined blockchain. Joined as a community, a member, and rose to the rank of the head of partnerships at Energy. So that's the power of blockchain, which is basically decentralization. So anybody can participate. You don't need to go to Stanford, Harvard, or any big university. As long as you have the skills and the willingness to do it, you can rise to the rank. And also, I have a very special heart for India and the people that are heavily marginalized by the existing financial sector. Like, a lot of people don't have bank, and it may be for n number of reasons. It could be due to societal pressure, or a lot of females or housewives are not allowed to have bank accounts. They don't need to have. They just need to have a wallet, and that's all they need to do. And that's the power of blockchain. Another decentralization. You get to vote as a token holder. You won't get to vote like that in traditional settings. So that's blockchain for you. The community movement that anybody can participate in.
I think that's a good way to put it. So if you have to talk about just one misconception that people have the most right now when they hear the word blockchain in the first place, what would that be?
A scam? It's not. It's like any industry. I know. I don't know how many guys know here about Satyam Computers. And Satyam Computers was delisted company, but at one time it was one of the leading blue chip stocks on our Nifty index. So like any other sector, scams are always there. You just have to find a good project and good people around there. Like, I'm a big fan of Sandeep. I watch a lot of his interviews from Polygon. And if you go back and look at his interviews too, you will find that, he has the same views that I share his view with him. That, every sector, every technology will have the good and bad apples. So what we have to do is we have to select the good ones and try to stay away from the bad ones. So that's like the big misconception is, people treat crypto as a scam or a Ponzi scheme. But I think what crypto has done is basically taken the technology to the next level through Web3. If you're talking about Web3, and if crypto wasn't there, I don't think so any existing infrastructure is capable of supporting Web3 right now.
I think in the infrastructure basis, I think definitely we are advancing. So me being actually close to the infra players in the past whole year, I see the changes have been significant, and I hope that we definitely outnumber the misconceptions with the use cases. I think that's something I would definitely want to look forward to the most. And I think everyone here definitely want to think about what are the best ways that we can think about blockchain will do this, blockchain will do this in the upcoming age and time, instead of thinking about all the spams that, like tokens, or people think about, like, it's same as like spams all the time. You will see that them as more of utility towards better building and better integrations. I mean, it's just one of the ways, right? So I think definitely there is a good point there. Moving forward, that actually sparks the next question. And since we have Zaki as well, hey Zaki. Hey. So I just wanted to ask, I mean, being very close to the growth side, right? You're seeing the industry trends, you're seeing how it is growing. So what are some of the most impactful, use cases that you have seen so far? I mean, not just in finance, but like in other sectors like supply chain and other places.
Absolutely, and I'll go to the very basic of letter of credits, for example, right? You talk about, you go and try to get a letter of credit in the real world. Even though you say that you can impose the contract, you cannot, right? After things ship, people are trying to renegotiate the contract, and you have already, agreed to a price. You're getting rice from India or somewhere, and while it's in flight, you're trying to renegotiate things, right? That's one thing. The other thing is around payments, right? So how do you enforce that? The rice went to the shipping dock, and I want to pay the seller, 10%. So you have all the technology. You have RFID, you have people entering data, but it doesn't get triggered. Now we're talking about smart contracts and making these available. And so whenever something happens, a trigger happens, whether it gets to the docking, it gets in the ship, it goes past a certain point. So those type of things are already happening. A lot of Merck and other companies are already doing that. You see that in the NFT space. In the NFT space, you talk about, we're talking about GIFs right now, right? But look at the future. There's music coming into play. There's going to be already, in a lot of places they're doing land. They're now, your assets, lands are going to be part of an NFT, and you can start selling your assets in NFTs. I've been in the U.S. for a long time, and if you look at when I bought my house, I had to do a title search. I'm sure you do that in India. Why do I have to do the title search? When somebody, my previous owner already did that, right? And his previous owner did that. It's because you don't trust the data, right? So blockchain, bringing it into blockchain, bringing it into these smart contracts will allow you to now trust the data, and these transactions, whatever it is going to be very quick, right? So those are, I think, some of the trends that we will see. And as Moin was talking about, is the security aspects. How do you make sure these transactions are not hacked? You go and click something on the web. It seems like an email that somebody sent, that a company sent you. You see a lot of these from Voyager, that they've gone under, but they're sending. Then you click on it, and suddenly your wallet is completely drained, right? And so how do you protect the user from being scammed and unknowingly? And it happened to me. Fortunately, I didn't have too much in that wallet, and I started seeing emails that my transactions are being, my accounts being drained. Like, what? I didn't do anything, And so those type of things, you need to make sure that as you're building all of these, the new generation of applications, how do you make sure that you have proper security and securing assets for the end user? I think that's going to be the key going forward.
I think that's one of the ways to, see an optimized version of Web3. In general, we talk about NFTs, right? I think it's a good way for mass adoption, People may not know everything about the specifics of blockchain, but they sure know what NFT means, right? So I think somewhere. So according to you, what is the best version that you ideate for this, this area, this region in the next, say, 4 to 5 years?
Yeah, and I wish I had that crystal ball, right? But I think that there is a lot of work going, and we talk mostly from a user perspective, right? So we're still in the very infancy of things, but you see, see companies and countries, not just companies, but countries, uh, talking about cross-border transactions, right? And they're building their own thing. If you go to JP Morgan Chase, they're building their own chain. Yeah. You go to Fidelity, they're building their own chain, right? So how do you, with what you guys are talking about, Dojima perspective, is that cross-chain communication, right? So how do you ensure that is not a isolated event in a particular blockchain? What happens in Polygon, I have from an energy perspective, visibility, whatever I need, right? Not everything. Whatever I need, I have visibility to do that. So those are going to be some things that are very, it's happening already. We started with bridging, between chains, but now you're going to have the cross-chain actions and such in the future. And I think that's going to be very...
No, it makes sense in a lot of ways, right? So I think growth and flexibility, if you talk about like scalability, right? Scalability is the one thing that we all are looking forward to building together, making sure that everybody knows that the potential is there, right? Even if it's a 4 or 5 year old imaginary or an optimal version of what it means to be, I work at DeFi, right? So right now, I remember whenever I encounter a family member, I say that I work in Web3, I work with blockchain, and they are like, okay. And then I have to give them some real life examples, okay, so you might heard about this, you might heard about this. So I feel like somewhere, where we don't have to explain people what we do. Blockchain is mainline, blockchain is something that people understand, right? When they know that this is the way we are being protected, right? We have ownership of everything that we own virtually. I think that is also something that I basically learned, right? Like things are changing, but I think whenever we talk about like scalability on blockchain, right? I think I cannot ignore about Polygon for sure. So I think this is something that I definitely want to ask Saksham. So we see like, definitely Sadhguru mentioned about Polygon and lot of integrations are happening. You folks are building CDK, which is powering a hell lot of scalability in the ecosystem, right? So how do you see these innovations that are happening in the blockchain industry in terms of growth, in terms of integrations, the tools that you people are building? So what is your optimal version of this growth and how do you see it?
Okay. So usually when we see about what's happening in the current ecosystem, it's like we're getting more dApps, more users, more adoption, and then a lot of things. And then when you talk about what's the plan for like upcoming time where whatever is happening in the whole ecosystem, you see later in down 4 or 5 years, you won't be seeing Web3. It's just normalized as a general industry where blockchain is a technology like how we use currently like any of the normal company like SD and which is like everybody would be adopting the technologies. There's nothing new. And then how this will implement is like CDK. We have a lot of different kind of providers, tooling, and then you will have everything which is needed or a current solution in the market in the upcoming 5 years. Where let's say, for example, if we have this problem coming in the Web3 industry, we don't have a tooling. We should have a tooling provider during that time where we had a lot of users. And then the second thing is like currently whatever like the even market across jobs and all would increase. So based on that, people would also anyway start so it would be just a normalized how we used to be like 2 years back. Nothing Nothing different, just a blockchain as a tech. Web3 would be nothing. Nobody will be discussing about that.
That's a really good way to put it. So definitely people like it. So that brings the next question, right? What are the problems that we have to overcome to achieve this really optimal version that you have in mind? I mean, what challenges that you see when you talk about polygon integration or scalability, like major challenges?
Okay, so see, every industry has challenges, and then challenges will never go like even if you go 100 years after, challenges will be there. And then I just want to confirm what kind of challenges. It could be getting more users. It could be anything. It could be like tech centric where we are not able to get that kind of because of course it uses a lot of carbon energy and all those things. And then we right now we are not ready for even a 1 billion users as well. So these things, if a company is right now, any company in Web3 is working, they're just seeing first 100k users, but that's not the target. They should, and then if we go bigger, they see 1 billion, but the ideal should be 10 billion. This is pretty straightforward if you want to have this industry. And then in terms of the challenges, I would say they're pretty clear things. The challenges would be the adoption, because how will you're getting a new youth crowd, but how will you be able to have people who are into links, software development from last 20 years? And then that stuff will not stop, of course. So how will you get everybody adopted with this set? How you can have it, if you just go to any of the wallet, it takes 14 screens to get it done. The UX problem is also there, which is a very big challenge in the Web3 industry. You will never find this in Web2. Even just phone pay, just single click and then you can pay it. So just think about this. And then the second, which I told, is we are not ready for like the next big. So these are the two major challenges I foresee.
I think we definitely are not ready for the next billion, but the speed that we are on, the pace is right. I think we're definitely going to build for the next billions and maybe trillions of people. I mean, you should never stop eyeing for the best goal, right? That's the whole part of it. I think I have a question for both of you, Mark. And so I basically have seen this trend that people have started to realize that we can converge more technologies when we talk about Web3. People already talk a lot, write a lot, and podcasts and Twitter, blogs, right? That there is AI in Web3, and then you have low code and no code automation plus Web3 to make it more easier for people to understand, right? So I think I would love to get your point of view about what other technologies you see getting converged into blockchain and helping it for good, right? So I think I can, like Mark, you can share about your opinion and your thoughts on this, and then maybe Zaki, you can share yours.
For exponential Web3 adoption, we have to come back to the basics, which is, catering to the users. I see a lot of blockchain excelling in those technology like Polygon and Solana, like, they're doing the mass scaling. But one of those things that are largely ignored is about user security. Now, I'm going to ask everybody in this room a question. Are you comfortable introducing your grandma or your friend who's completely new to crypto? And what would be one of your biggest concerns knowing crypto in and out? And most of the time, the question is like, are they going to be safe when they're holding their asset inside their Web3 wallet, right? So if you click on one link, they're naive users, right? So it's like you give a credit card to an 18-year-old, you can go back to like 10 years ago and you swipe left, right, and then you have like, scammers coming there, forging their identity, using their credit card, maxing it out, and they're left to fend for themselves. This was a case for credit card companies 10 years ago. But now that completely changed because there are like rigorous security systems in place. You do a transaction, you get a message. If you don't approve it, it doesn't go through. So there are things in place. And I think for Web3 to achieve mass adoption and break the barriers, the security needs to be in place. If we have to see new user adoption, they have to be coming into an environment that is safe for them, that is welcoming to them. Like we have a big gamer community that's 10 times bigger than the Web3 community. And in order for them to move forward, we need to build that safer environment. Surely, I mean, transaction and then scalability will go hands in hand. But without security, like imagine like you have like your entire life saving inside a wallet, and you click on one link and it's all gone. And who do you approach? You could approach it to the governments, but if it's out of their jurisdiction, they cannot get the scammer. And even if the scammer is caught and is sent to the jail, your assets cannot be recovered because there is no insurance systems in Web3 or even in blockchain. And I want to highlight, and I'm pivoting a little bit because that's what I do basically is a decentralized governance. That's the key for solving this dilemma of security, where the community comes together, because we're already doing that as human beings, right? We have like in India, the biggest democracy, like we have a decentralized governance system, right? We elect people as the representatives, and they do the governance decisions. So governance will play an important role in providing security. You're already seeing that in major blockchains. You're seeing in the USDC, you're seeing in Tether, USDT just released yesterday their governance map. We at Energy, we pioneered it way back in 2020 because we realized that in order for us to scale or adopt Web3 in the future, we needed to provide a 24/7 active security for our users. So what we have built over a period of 3 years is a crime-free blockchain. Like any dev or any user can enter our ecosystem and use our dApp. Now it took us time for that extended 3-year period to build that full system and to test it out, because building technology is one side and testing just takes time. And when you're talking about security, it takes way much more time to turn it out. So security is the one that we cracked on, and now we have systems in place, both decentralized security governance that protects our user assets. So when any dApp or any user onboards on the Energy ecosystem, he is protected 24/7. Like obviously, I mean, there are certain things that you can't prevent, but to a larger extent, like you have 90 to 95% the users are safe. So the question comes back again, like, would you introduce your friend who's completely new to crypto into like crypto and Web3 infrastructure? And that's like the basic challenge for scaling crypto to the next level will lie. Because if you use your asset, if you're losing, like it's sad to say, but like, crypto scam industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry every year. Like that's not even a market cap of like 100 crypto companies together in the bottom 100. And you saw what happened with KyberSwap. Like any random kid just hacked their entire infrastructure, and he's demanding them to make him the CEO of the company. Now, how would you relate that if you say you're part of the Kyber team? How would you face your community? And then this is coming to the basics. You place the governance systems in place, and the community itself comes together and protect themselves. So that's my opinion. Like on Web3, scaling and security will go both in hand if we were to see mass adoption.
And I'll add a couple of points to what Mark just mentioned, is around what we've seen in 2023 is a little bit of shift in that as a service. We talked about this in corporate world, by certain things as a service, right? So for us, when we're talking about security, we're moving towards like utilizing multi-sig wallets, right? We're not building that from scratch anymore, right? We're plugging into Gnosis Safe platform they already established. We're using WAN chains, relay network to be able to, move things around. So those type of as a service functionalities and capabilities would be there. I mean, we've had Chainlink, for a while, but all of these will be you'll see more and more available, that developers can just plug into. and be able to develop and deploy their applications much faster and quicker, and whichever chain they choose, and we're EVM compatible, you can deploy it on our or any other chain, so it's the same code you're just gonna compile and go, right? So those are things I think is going to be helping us accelerate things as well. I'm going to come back a little bit to, you're talking about the scalability aspects of things, right? So you see that, for us, for example, when we started, transactions, 1 minute block time, which was fine for our chain. But as we're seeing more and more adoption and people want quicker, how we can reduce it to we're going to have 15-second block time, which will make things go faster and faster. You see Ethereum now coming up with their next release, which they're trying to address scalability, right? So you're going to see more and more these technologies coming, enhancements to technology come into play, and be able to allow us to, have more transactions, faster transactions at a bank agreement. So banks are doing sub-second. We want to be able to that level as well.
I think that's a good way to see it as well. I mean, I personally believe that, changing and innovating is what it takes to go ahead. And when I see that people speculating, imagining, thinking, I mean, what can be now blockchain plus question mark. It can be anything. It can be security. It can be multi-agent systems. It can be, using AI, blockchain, whatever they imagine it to be. At least we have come one step ahead. People were like blockchain question mark, but now we have blockchain plus what next? So somewhere, even if it's like a slow pace, we have been running in the field, and we have we have been able to successfully strike that curiosity that says that what's next. And when we ask what's next, we definitely get the opportunity to learn what is happening right now. But one of the things that you said about adoptions, so user adoptions, developer education, and the community in general. I mean, I think that's the big question before, right? How will you face your community, right? So I think in that arena, the main question that I think people also thinks a lot, because we do a lot of developer relations, we do a lot of community-centric stuff. This whole India Blockchain Week is about that only, right? So what are the key barriers that people don't even know about when it comes to adaptations in blockchain, how it can be addressed, So I would love to know, what are your thoughts on, general adaptation? So I think Saksham, if we can start with you, and then Zaki, if you can also add, because you are in a strategic partnerships as well as developer relations. So what are the major problems in general developer adaptations?
Okay, so first in general, when you talk about community, and then in terms of developer ecosystem, what we need is usually being very early at the blockchain industry. This is way too important, and then this is not something where we just push it. There is a full effort which needs to be there, where you can't be forcing everybody to use the tech. It should be people should understand the importance and then just attract towards it. And then when you talk about the importance and you ask, it's way too important, because to get the next set of users, you need to do this. And when you talk about the developer communities, you need devs in the, of course, IT-centric market. So that's a very much important point, where I'll say where these developer activation leads to more developers, more dev leads to more dApps, and more dApps leads to more users, and then the chain again goes on. So that's how the industry right now working with in the dev community. And of course, when you talk about IBW and we are here, these community initiatives are not just to have people come understand the tech. It's more about the awareness and then hitting their mind again and again, so that whenever they wake up again, they'll see what I'm going to do with this tech stuff. So then that's what I will say is a major important stuff right now happening.
So Saksham, when you talk about developer relations and you say that it is right now pull effort, not a push effort, right? So how do you see the developer relations thing in Web3 in blockchain? How is it playing out? Are we able to see that user adaptations, user awareness about blockchain? Will it be a thing in the next upcoming time? I mean, what is the important role?
Okay, I mean like it was post effort till now. Everybody was posting parties and a lot of stuff until now. But now, if you see company strategies, it's more about narrowing down, doing hackathons where it's creating a full effort. And then when you talk about the user adoption, it's been increased definitely. And then how it's gonna do is like we had a lot of stuff this week. Now for at least next year, it will create an impact. People will start learning. Universities across the region will be impacted. Like forcing students will be forcing to have the courses, and then if that could be implemented across India, nothing could be better. You are getting the all the bigger chunk of set who are the devs directly from the day one. So, and then if I talk about the dev relations activity, those are mostly towards getting more devs onboarded, getting how we can have more of like stuff, activities, innovation, engagement, and then the third thing is apart from dev as well, we're getting more users definitely, because when a dApp has been a normal, any developer builds something or a project, it shares to a lot of people, and then we're getting a more new set of users.
I think I believe in it. I strongly believe in it, and Zaki leading, a forefront of the technologies where people have started talking about it. What's your like thought and piece of opinion on developer adaptations or in general user adaptations?
Sure, absolutely. So if you look at 2 years back, when we needed to hire Golang developers, it was hard, right? It was hard to get developers. Nowadays, you have, you put feelers out there and any of the job posts, you get good developers, right? And it's because in the US, all the Ivy League schools now have curriculums on blockchain, on these languages, that you have. So if eventually, even today, if you go and click something on your website, it may come from IPFS, right? That image may be coming from IPFS. You don't know, right? It's going to be agnostic. You won't know where it's coming from. Whether it's actually somebody hosting on their basement, or it's on in a open blockchain technology, right? And that's going to be. It is already there, right? It is already there. You're seeing that today. One of the big challenge was cost, right? So people had only Ethereum initially to be able to deploy these things, right? And look at the cost of deploying smart contracts and apps, in that platform. You come to our platform, it means, right? In energy, you're going to take the same application, and deploy it in our platform, and you're paying, pennies for gas fees and such. And will that change in the future? You would hope so. But, we have also plans on how to address that type of scenario as well, So I think, again, it is, you had C++ was the, dominant programming language at one point, now you're going to see Solidity and Golang and with new technologies. It's already there, and you're going to see more of it. And with that, you'll see more organizations, companies, not just at what they call, we live like hobbyists, right? Now it's going to be more formalized as a company and organization level. And you're going to see that more and more, I'm sure, in 2023, 2024 and beyond.
I think that's really a good way to, see that even though it's a conclusion of this Indian Blockchain Week, we have been able to identify that it's not going to stop there. I would definitely want to thank all of you to be a part of the discussion and to share all of your thoughts about developer community, integrations, being a strategic forefront and how you see the industry growing, and especially the ecosystem that we know in general, or the tech that we know in general. I think it would be really amazing to see how Dojima leads the front point, and it's going to be a great ecosystem. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
I don't wanna thank Dojima team because I identified Polygon in 2019 itself, like how it was going to be a very dominant player in the blockchain space when there was token pre-sale going on. What I saw in Polygon, I see the same potential in Dojima. What they're building is really a pioneering technology. You're putting the best tools in the hands of devs, and you're unlocking multiple blockchains to a lot of developers. So whoever is part of Dojima team, I would strongly suggest you guys take complete advantage of what your team is building. And I would also urge a lot of devs, to explore the Dojima, ecosystem and build on it. And I can see a lot of, progress forward and good wishes for the Dojima team.